All right, coach. So the Princeton offense with a full program approach. What we had the opportunity to do last week is we got on court with a varsity program. We did a private clinic for their entire staff. They brought their youth level coaches all the way from, I don't know if the lowest was first grade, second grade, all the way through sixth grade. The middle school coaches were there, the high school coaches were there. And we were able to break down the Princeton offense with a full program approach. Usually, when we do clinics or we do camps, installation camps, most of the time we're talking to coaches. We're breaking down what to do with the Princeton offense with your high school program. Sometimes we've dipped down into the middle school programs a little bit, but when you go even lower than that, the game is different at the youth level, and there are different purposes. There's the game is just played different. The skill set's different. The players are different. The coaches are different, and we're trying to build a program that's going to feed into what we're doing at the varsity level. So this was a really neat opportunity for me to sit down with a varsity head coach, all of his staff, all of his high school staff, his middle school staff, his youth staff. We had a couple local coaches come over and watch. And the players were absolutely fantastic. We had players representing each level. And I'm going to show you a little bit of the video as we kind of go along here. But I want to break down what we did, why we did it, and see if this approach is something that might be able to help you out a little bit. So if I get distracted a little bit, it's because I'm going to also letting coaches in that are watching live. If you're watching this replay, let me know in the comments that you're watching this on replay. So the full program approach, how to install the Princeton offense program-wide. And the key is without sacrificing key developmental stages of your youth program. We don't focus enough on our youth program, especially if you're coaching it and your goal is to coach with longevity. If your goal is to coach a program that's going to be successful year in, year out, we must. It is an absolute must that we have to give as much focus as we possibly can at the youth level. Now, if you don't have the bandwidth to run the entire program, and this is, I was in an interview. I interviewed for two varsity jobs, actually. I'll tell those stories later. Didn't get either of them. I was in the final group with both of them. But one of the biggest, one of the questions I got was, what's your biggest weakness as a coach? And for me, it was delegation. More so on the administrative side than the coaching side. But something that also I wasn't able to delegate as well as what we did with our youth program. And it was kind of hard. Some situations, some schools, you have a lot of control over your youth program. Sometimes you don't. And getting the most control as you possibly can is great, but we have to delegate leaders at that level. But if you're not giving the attention to your youth program, that's your feeder system. If they're not getting the attention, if we're not getting the interest, if we're not getting the players to show up and sign up and play, that's our pool of where we get our varsity players from. When you have 3, 4, 5 seniors graduating every year, that starts from a first grade class where there's 30, 40, 50 kids that want to play the game of basketball. And we need to give them the attention they deserve. And if we're not doing that, what happens at a lot of, I would say almost say most high school programs, is you might be mediocre to good to really good for 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, and then boom, you take this really big dip. And then it might be 4, 5, 6, 7 years sometimes before you get really good again. And then you have this really big dip. And the reason is because you don't have that consistent flow, that consistent feeding of good basketball players to your program. No matter what offense we run, no matter what defensive we run, if we don't have good basketball players, it's going to be hard to compete at the biggest level. I saw Coach Collins pop in here, and I asked him, 2 weeks ago, I was in Madison, Wisconsin. I asked him, hey, what's your secret to being successful every year? He's like having great players. And we have to develop those great players. So we have to do this with our feeder system. So it has to get the attention. Now, once you give it the attention, now we got to give it the right attention. We have to, when it comes offensively, we're and I'll dip a little bit into the defensive end during this, but we want to really focus on the offense. We want to really focus on everything that we do it strategically. We want to design our offense strategically, and we want to build our offense in progressions. And when we're talking about a full program approach, is the same stuff we're teaching at the varsity level offensively, strategically, is clearly going to be different than what we're teaching at the youth level. If you're going all the way down to the first grade, second grade, third grade, then your fourth, fifth, sixth, we're like, okay, now we're preparing them for middle school, and then middle school players, we're preparing them for freshman JV, and those players we're preparing for varsity. But we can do this in a very strategic way. And I really want to get into the details of this because this is something that, especially last week when we worked with this program in Indiana, this is something that they wanted to do. Your youth basketball program, this is your feeder system. This is where you get your players from. This is the well. All right. And I always love this quote. You've got to dig your well before you're thirsty. It's like NFL programs when everyone hates it when they do the NFL draft every year, and all these programs are, they're drafting offensive linemen. It's like you have to build an offensive line. It doesn't matter how good your quarterback is if he didn't have more than 2 seconds to throw the football. So you have to dig your well before you're thirsty. You have to develop a feeder system if you want to be successful every single year. And now what happens is those peaks and those valleys, if you don't have the feeder system, hey, when you're lucky and you have a good group of players come through, hey, we're really good. And when those players leave, we're really bad. And you have that. And if you want to coach with longevity, I mean, it's winning's, and everyone will say this, winning's not the most important thing. Having a great culture, being a good leader, developing a good atmosphere, coaching players, that's what we're here to do. But the reality is, if you're not winning, if you're losing every single year, year after year after year, the atmosphere gets worse, the culture gets worse, players get disgruntled, parents get disgruntled, administrators get disgruntled. The secret to that longevity is being successful. So that the peak and that valley is, hey, we're really good, and now we're okay, average, above average. Now we're really good again, average, above average. Hey, now we're one of the best programs in the area. Okay, now we're above average, best, above average, best. And we want to stay, we want those peaks and valleys to be small, but we want them to be up here. So what do you need to have a great feeder system? All right, number one, interest. There's got to be crazy interest in your program. There's got to be crazy energy in your program. There's got to be crazy excitement in your program. If you can develop those 3 things, all right, you're going to have a larger pool of players to pull from as they progress through your program, from youth through middle school, through high school to varsity, so that we're developing the best players out of all of the athletes in your community. All right, if you don't have interest in your program, if there's no energy in your program, if there's no excitement, it's like, I can't wait. I mean, we would have youth nights. We would have our youth players and middle school teams come and watch our varsity practices. If you're not involved, if you don't have your hands in the pot in the youth program, and those players don't see where they're going. If we're not doing events and stuff, if that pool is small to choose from, all right, your varsity program is just going to wither and it's going to struggle. And we're going to have those peaks and valleys, and you might not even have the peaks. The peak you might have might be an 8-win season. And that's not the program that we want to develop, especially for longevity. Second thing you need to have coaching, fundamentals, and skill development at the youth level. Now, the hard thing about that at the youth level is coaches. Having coaches that are invested in that level. A lot of the times we're going to run into, because of sheer where the coach is coming from, a lot of times it ends up being parents, which is, I think, fine, and I think it's great. But the one thing we have to do in our programs, we have to coach our coaches. And that's almost all of what this clinic was last week that we did in Indiana, is the varsity coach wanted to put on a clinic so we could coach his coaches at that level, give them a foundation that's solid, and then that they can start to build upon that. And then the last thing when it comes to strategy is you have to have, and again, we're just going to mainly focus on the offensive end, clearly we're talking about putting Princeton in your program top to bottom, is you have to have a progressive offensive system. It's kind of like a map. You have to look at where they're at and look at where you want to take them, and there's going to be a map. And this map is going to change a little bit depending on the personnel at each level. So it may be a straight line up, or it may have some curves in it. You may have to detour a little bit, but you have to have a map. You have to have a vision, and it's going to go in progressions. What the first graders are going to do one thing, the third graders are going to do something different. The fourth graders and the fifth graders might do something a little bit more advanced because they're getting better and better and better. Okay, so those are the things that we need to develop in our feeder system. Now, again, we talked about this. Don't forget, we have to coach our coaches. You want to have, like we did last week, we had a clinic where I was the speaker, where I was the coach, coaching Coach Thompson's youth coaches, his middle school coaches, his assistant coaches. But at the same time, me as the varsity coach, I'm going to have my own clinics for those coaches. I'll bring that coach in, and I'll bring their players in, and I'll say, hey, this is how we run a practice. This is the skill work we teach. This is the offensive system we're going to run. This is how we do this. And we're going to help our coaches become better coaches because they are the leaders at that level. They're the ones that those players are looking up to. So never forget to coach your coaches. Now, when we're looking at this full program approach, what offense do we teach at the youth level? I look at this more strategically now than I did 20 years ago when I was actually coaching. I had an idea, and the most control I had was at the middle school. I wasn't able to penetrate the youth level the way I really wanted to at my stint as a varsity coach. But going back now, 100%, this is what I would do because I'm looking at the game with much more experience than I did when I was in my 20s. But what is the main goal that we want to execute at the youth level? Strategically, what is glaring about the game at each level? It's just not, hey, we know first, second, third graders, we know they're not going to be very skilled. There'll be a couple standouts, but we know they're not going to be very skilled in what they can do. But we need to understand the game. The game is different at the youth level than it is at the middle school level, than it is at the varsity level, than it is at the collegiate level, than it is at the professional level. They're different games. What you watch on an NBA court is vastly different than what you watch collegiately, and it's a different game than you watch at the high school level. They're different games. Now, the rules are very similar. However, when you go from high school to college to pro, the rules that have changed is, in the 90s, it was they had illegal defenses. They have 3-second defensive calls. They have 3 seconds on the offensive end, 3-second defensive calls. There's all kinds of little different rules that kind of manipulate how the game is played at different levels, but also just because of the skill level and experience of the players also changes the game, and also the skill level and experience and ability to coach the game at these different levels, and the leadership at these different levels, the direction that we have above our youth coaches and the way that we're able to communicate what we want taught, that changes the game at each level that we coach. So when I look at the first grade through sixth grade, when I say youth, when I think of youth basketball, I'm thinking first grade through sixth grade. We want to throw preschool, kindergarten, and that's fine. But first grade through sixth grade is the core of your youth program. Now, what are the weaknesses in the youth game? To find out where we're going, we got to look abstractly where we are at. Right? What are the weaknesses in the youth game? From the player standpoint, there's no skill, there's no vision, there's no experience, there's no discipline. They don't have the skill to do all of the moves, to shoot the shot. Their elbow's not under the basketball. They shoot it with two hands. They're looking down when they dribble. Right? They dribble with two hands. I mean, the skill is as raw and frustrating as you ever see it. They have no vision. They cannot. And when I say they have no vision, it's not like they have this big, oh, I really understand what this game is about. It's like, no, when they are looking at the court, they do not comprehend at this level what everyone's doing and why they're doing it. They can see 9 other players on the court, 4 teammates, 5 defenders, but it's hard for them to comprehend why they're standing where they're standing. Why is my teammate 5 feet from me and that teammate 15 feet from me? They have no vision, right? They don't have the experience. Clearly, they're young, right? And they have no discipline, right? That comes down to two things: one, experience, coaching, repetition, all of that. They have no discipline on, hey, we try to put in plays, but it's also we want them to run certain kind of plays at that level, as simple as possible so that they can go execute. But the discipline for them to execute that is a huge weakness. When it comes to the game itself, right? The weaknesses of the youth game is they have no spatial awareness of the court. They have no team understanding what we're trying to do as a unit. There is no defensive help side at this level. There is no deliberate movement, or when we try to put in deliberate movement, it almost looks random. And we've all, either if we have kids or if we've coached at that level, or if you go down to watch that level, it's like five chickens with their heads cut off running around, and because when we start getting into the X's and O's, everyone wants to start teaching passing and cutting, pass, cut, pass, cut, pass, cut, right? And I think that's great, and that's something that we'll progress to. I think that is also a difficult concept, especially first, second, third, fourth grade, to understand this pass, cut philosophy. But they don't understand where to be on the court. And when I talk about spatial awareness, one of the big things that I really want to emphasize is how many times does a kid dribble the basketball and they pick it up, and next thing you know, you have four teammates sprinting right at you, and then all their hands are up like this, and the tallest player always gets the ball. They always pass the ball. They're doing this, and they're tucking it away, and then they're like, oh no, and then they throw it up to their tallest teammate, and they catch the ball, and then everyone runs to the rim. And then they dribble with their head. This is what youth basketball is, all right? It's bad basketball. It is what it is. They have no spatial awareness. They don't have a concept of understanding what we're trying to do as a team, as a unit. So they don't understand, hey, we have 5 moving parts and on the offensive end, and there's 5 moving parts on the defensive end. They don't understand this. And the most glaring of all of this, all of these weaknesses on the player side and on the side of the game, for me, is there's no defensive help side. So when I'm thinking strategically, what do I want to teach at this level to give them the success that they want? Okay, we have to take all of the weaknesses on the player side, all of the weaknesses on the game at the level that they're playing it, all right, and we need to put the right match together. So when I look at the youth game, this is what I look at. All right, players got the ball in the slot, and every defender is standing right next to the player they're guarding. And when I was talking to Coach Thompson, and I can't remember if it was Coach Thompson. Yeah, it was in lunchtime during this clinic, and I'll show some clips from the clinic before we're done. But it's like we do things to help the players out at this level, but it also kind of hurts the game. And we do this because, again, they don't have an understanding or comprehension of space on the court. They have no vision. They can't see this and know what to do and where to be and how to react when this one moves. And it's hard for them to comprehend that. And that's fine. I'm not saying that we're going to teach them to comprehend that at the lowest level. What I'm going to tell you is we're going to progress. As they progress, we're going to start to teach them how they're going to learn that as they progress. But we're going to now put our hand in there and say, hey, we're strategically going to only show you this to keep the game simple. But if you've ever gone to a youth game, how many youth games you see where the players, hey, they all have wristbands. All right, if you have a red wristband on offense, we're going to put a red wristband on the player you're guarding on defense, right? And this one's going to have a green one and a green one, and a yellow one and a yellow one. And what happens is, because we've done that, is the defensive players say, hey, I've got red wristband. Oh, red wristband. And they're going to run right next to that player, right? It is what it is. But this is what the youth game looks like. Okay. Now, when I'm progressing, so how strategy works is first, when we're actually looking, when I look at this and I'm thinking strategically, what are we going to run offensively at this level? Okay. The first thing I think is strategically, I need to decide on the style of play. Now, let me actually talk about kind of pull away from the youth and go more so from a varsity coach's approach. When I'm thinking about strategy and what we're going to run, the first thing I need to say before I go to the offense and the X's and O's, I need to decide what's the style of play, because your offense is not your strategy. And we don't focus on that as much. Your style of play is your strategy. And for me, there's four strategies. We can play faster than our opponent would like to play, and that's the important part, is how our opponent would like to play. If we want to play fast and our opponents also wants to play fast and they're better playing fast than you, or they have more talent than you, all things equal, talent wins. Like I said at the very beginning, Coach Collins' secret sauces have great players, right? So if they got better players and you both want to play the same style, right? Better advantage the better players. It's a bad strategy to try to play the same way that they play. So your style of play, you can play faster than your opponents want to play if you're more talented, or maybe you're more athletic, less skilled. Playing fast is the strategy. You can play slower than your opponents want to play. Stereotypical Princeton offense teams. All right, Princeton was designed when they ran when Pete Carrillo ran the Princeton offense at Princeton, and he designed it strategically. He created the offense from all of his past experience and influence. He designed the offense because he could only recruit Ivy League players. He had to have smart players. They had to have either a lot of money or no money to go to get any kind of academic, well, I shouldn't say, some kind of academic scholarship or programs to help get them into that school, because they had no athletic scholarship. So they couldn't compete with the Georgetowns and the NC States and they couldn't, Northwestern, when Bill Carmody was at Northwestern, they had a higher GPA standard they had higher academic standards. They couldn't recruit the same players that Michigan State and Ohio State and Indiana could recruit. Okay. So style play faster than your opponents want to play slower than your opponents want to play in more space than what might be comfortable for the team. And my example there is, how many of you have played a school who is traditionally a football school, and all of their football players play basketball, and it's literally like you're playing against men, but they have no. I mean, grown men. Your high school team is playing a team of grown men who just want to bump and bang, and they're not super skilled, right? We want to spread them out and make them play basketball, all right? Or you might want to play the game more physical, and that's the last one. You might not be the quickest. You might not be the most skilled, but you're really strong. You're really physical. And if you can make this a grind out, get to the free throw style type game, that would be the advantage. So play faster, play slower, play in more space, play more physical. Those are the four styles. That's the strategy. Now, second, once I know the strategy, the strategical approach, now we're going to go, what's the tactical approach? So now I'm going to design what we're going to do on the court, X's and O's. And then the third concept of this is we're going to scout and we're going to see what are our opponents doing, because we have to be flexible. We have to be, if you are so rigid in the way you play, then or if you only train your players to play one of these styles, it's hard to adjust to what you see on the court. So I go scout another team. I see on the court what they do. I see how they're coached, which is the most important at the varsity level. I see how they're coached. Are they disciplined? Or are they not disciplined? Are they running man-to-man? Is it packed line? Is it denial? Where are they one pass away? Are they 50-50 in the split? Are they 2/3 where they're closer to their offensive player? Are they standing right next to their offensive player? Do they, when the ball is passed, do they jump to the ball? Do they jump to that split, or do they pass and the defender just stand? On the help side, are they on the midline? Are they straddling? Are they on the midline like I played and was taught to coach? Are they straddling the weak side lane line? Or are they out like most college defenses? Or are they completely outside the lane like every pro defense? Right? And there's different reasons why they're outside the lane in the pros versus why they're outside in the lane at the youth level. But you can see how that changes the game relative to the level they're playing. All right, so that's my approach. That's how strategy works. Okay? Boom, boom, boom. right? So if I see this, I'm thinking, oh, this is a well-coached team relative to the level. If this is a varsity team and this is, hey, they play defense the way I teach defense. So I can anticipate, if I see this, I can anticipate this. And when we go put in the offense, I can say, hey, they're on the midline. When we make our cuts, when we make our reads, make our screens, all of that, you're going to have to look here, 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 and here, because they're going to take this, and this away because of where they're standing. All right. If I see this, I'm like, okay, there's a little bit more room there. So now when we make this cut, we might have this option open sooner. All right. Or if we look 2 steps ahead, this one's really going to be open because of where they're starting. All right. If I see this, I'm like, okay, this is a glaring different way the game's played. All right. The way we cut, the way we screen, the way we drive is going to be, the way we drive in this scenario is going to be completely different than the way we drive in this scenario. Right? So we need to look at the game, look at the level we're coaching, look at what we see, and then make the adjustment. When I look at the youth level, this is what I see. When I look at the professional level, this is kind of what we see. All right. And it's frustrating for me to watch the pros, and this is where they're playing defense a lot of the time. And no wonder the style of the game is the way the style of the game is. All right. So reminding of this, all right, the weaknesses in the youth game. As a player individually, no skill, no vision, no experience, no discipline. All right, we got to work on those. The game itself, no spatial awareness on the offensive end. No spatial awareness. Well, I should say both. No team understanding, no unit. We don't know what we're doing as a group. Right? No defensive help side, no deliberate movement. Right? So this is what I want to do. I want to create the most space possible on the court. So if at the youth level, if this is what I'm going to see defensively, I want to move our players to certain areas on the court to maximize this. And I want to really take advantage of it. Now, if you're looking at this and you've coached for a while, you should probably be pretty familiar of what this is. All right, this is the dribble drive motion formation. Okay, I'm not before we actually start going through the movements, we can actually run the dribble drive motion, but this is the initial formation. This is the initial spots on the court where everyone's going to stand. And what it does is it maximizes the space. All right. So when we're looking at the game, all right, one of the big weaknesses that we just talked about was there's no spatial awareness. So what we're going to do is we're going to make them aware. Hey, and I did this in the clinic when we worked with this, was it 6th grade, 7th grade? Yeah. So the 6th grade was the lowest level that we worked at with Indiana. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to put everyone in these spots, go guard them. And this is where they ran at the 6th grade level, So if you're coaching 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, or if you're coaching your coaches who are coaching 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, and they all have these wristbands on, and you tell your players, you put X's on the floor, go stand on the X's, or we're teaching them spatial awareness, and then defense, go guard your person. And they're all going to spread out, and they're going to go guard their person. Now, so at the very offset, right, we are in dribble drive. Right now, before we even start working on the offense, and again, I love dribble drive at this level for these reasons, is it's going to allow us to develop our players relative to this level. What do the players need? They need skills to make a move. All right, so I'm basically put this point guard, whoever's got the ball here, in a one-on-one position to go score. Now, what most kids do is they put their head down and, I see now, I have the vision to see, I see this big gap in here and this big gap here, and I see the rim, it's wide open. But what they do is they dribble up and they put their head down and they just drive a straight line as hard as they possibly can. Okay? But what this does for us as coaches, it gives us the opportunity to teach them how to come at their defender at one speed, make a move, in and out, boom, and then make a move to go by them right, make a move to go by them left. Right? Now we have the ability to teach the player the skill work that we work on in practice is the same skill work that they're going to use in the game. And that's a big mistake coaches make even at the varsity level. We do skill work in practice that we never do in our offense. So just by setting our youth up in this formation gives my point guard all the opportunity to use all the skills we work in practice, in and out blow-bys, in and out crossovers, right? One foot finishes, 2 foot finishes, because there's no one at the rim. They can go score. They have the vision to see where their teammates are. They have the vision to see how the defense is guarding them, because we've made it clear that every player is going to stand in these spots and not move while I'm driving until I get to a certain spot. Then we'll teach them step by step through the offense, right? Now we're gonna develop the experience to anticipate. Hey, if I drive baseline and the 5-man defender steps up, okay, I can anticipate if he stays, I'm scoring. If he doesn't stay, I can make that play. It's binary. Binary is the best way to get players at all levels to make quick decisions, confident decisions, and the right decisions. Okay? If it's open, throw it. If it's not open, don't throw it. All right? If we're driving, and if it's the wing defender who is taking it away, maybe I have a driving kick. Or maybe if they're denying, maybe we have a dribble at back cut, which are the correct first 3 progressions of scoring in the dribble drive offense. And then because we have these spots, we're teaching the players a discipline to hold space. Those are the 4 weaknesses. And just by starting out in this formation, we're giving our players at the 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade to execute these skills. Okay? The game itself, we're giving them spatial awareness. We're giving them team understanding. Hey, this is where we go as a team. This is why. So we can go score this way. We can get a layup. We can get the 5 on a dump. We can get the corner on a drop. We can get the corner on a driving kick or a loop. All right? We're teaching them defensive awareness. If we stand here, guess what you're going to see most of the time? You're going to see them standing with their opponent with the wristband on. All right? So you're teaching them why. I really believe in teaching why as much as anything. And deliberate movement and deliberate standing. So as we teach them the offense, the movement of the offense, first of all, we're deliberately standing because we want the defense to stand so we can go score. And then when the defense moves, we can deliberately move. Binary. The point guard and the corner are going to work together. No one else is moving but the point guard and the corner if I get to a certain level. If I get deeper, it's the point guard and the 5-man's going to move. Okay? It's binary. 2 people working together all the time. All right? And that's why I think dribble drive is the easiest thing to teach at the youth level. But it's just not because the offense is easier to teach. It's because of all of these other reasons, and these are all the details of why it works. All right? So, how strategy works. We always want to strategically use what we see. All right? And we want to tell them why we do what we do. Sometimes we just tell them what to do. And I use this analogy. I coached girls for 7 years. I coached boys for 7 years. The girls, you could just tell them what to do, and they'll go do it. And they're like, oh, I don't have to tell you why. They're just going to do what I say. Girls want to please. It's just part of who they are in most situations. All right? They want to do what coach says. And they don't ask questions. The boys ask all of the questions. Why are we doing this, coach? My dad says this, and my uncle says this. And, it's like, and I guess that's bleeding into the game even on the girls' side today. But it's, coaches are all asking. The parents are in the kids' head, the kids in the coach's head. Why are we doing this? Tell them why. And ask. Do you see what I see? Oh, yeah, everyone's standing next to each other, right? Does that make sense to you, too? I see it. You see it. We see the same thing. Does it make sense that we would do this? Yeah, it does. And then they have an understanding. They have an epiphany in their head once they see it, and once they understand what they're doing, and then they're going to go execute. They're not going to ask questions. They know why they're doing it. And now we're going to say, okay, now we're going to take that thing away. Now the thing's not open. Now what do you see? Oh, I see this coach. He took this away. Well, what will we do? And we just go down the line in a progression. At the micro level, teaching an offense, we go progression by progression by progression. I see this. Let's do this. Ooh, that's not. Now I see this. Well, let's do this. Now I see this. Well, let's do this. And there's always the next thing. Same thing as we're progressing from our offense from the youth level all the way to varsity. Each year, what they're going to be seeing is going to be a little bit different. All right. Now, progression strategy, goal. So the ultimate goal is for our varsity to run Princeton. That's why we're here. Everyone's here. Everyone's on the same page. At the varsity level, we are tailoring our kids. We're progressing them through a systematic approach to get them to be able to understand how to run Princeton easier when they become 5th graders, 6th graders, 7th graders, 8th graders, freshman JV varsity. All right. Depending on our personnel at each level, we'll adjust a little bit. All right. So in this clinic, I'm going to flip over to some video here in a second. But let me just do that now. Let me just pop right over here. It should be muted so we don't get blasted. So, and again, we're teaching the skill work in this one right here, but what we progress them to, of course, my hard drives are waking up. So I have to run all this video through a network. These videos are so big. So if it plays, it plays. If it doesn't, we'll just make do. So actually, while it's frozen, I'll pop back here until it fires back up. But we can run at the varsity level either the chin series, the low post series, the point series, the open series, or a combination of 2 or 3 or all 4 of them. All right, and we can make it as complicated as we want. We can make it as simple as we want at the varsity level. All right, so this is the end goal. And a lot of times what I like to do is I like to take the end goal, what we want to do at the very end, and then reverse engineer it all the way down. Well, if we want to run this at the varsity level, this is style we want to play. These are the X's and O's and the tactics that we want to run. All right, before they can learn this, they need to learn this at this level. Okay, now we're talking freshman JV. Now, at freshman JV, they're not able to do what we want them to do at the varsity level. They just don't have the comprehension, the experience, the repetition. They don't have the muscle memory. They don't have all of they have all the same weaknesses relative to the youth level. They're just not there yet, right? Now, for them to run what we want at the freshman JV, now I'm looking at 7th grade, 8th grade. What do we have to teach them 7th and 8th grade to be able to execute there? And we have to simplify it even more. 4th, 5th, 6th, simplify it even more. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, simplify it even more. All right, and we're just breaking it down. But we have our end goal in mind, and then we just reverse engineer it all the way down the chain. I sincerely plan on having video playing. There you go. So my varsity video is playing. Oh, and then when I share it, the internet decides to kick in. But basically, so here's the varsity guys we're working with, and they're running they're right here. Their core series is going to be the chin series, but we also ran over a lot of point over the top. We ran it very deliberate. We ran some chin counters. We ran a lot of different stuff for them, and this was the ultimate goal that we wanted to get to. And what we did strategically when we went through all of so we had 5 sessions working with 6th grade, 7th grade. We worked with the 8th grade, the JV or the JV, their B team, and then their varsity. And at each level, relative to their skills and what we would anticipate to see defensively, we strategically kind of put in what we were going to put in that was going to get us this end result. And then now, next thing you know, these guys are running the offense at a very high level, very disciplined level. And to this group's credit, for what I had to do to teach them the game was really just fine-tune details and then rep the actions. And then they were able to execute right away. And now if we can develop a general understanding of the basketball, of the game from youth all the way through freshman JV, man, when they get to the varsity level, it's like, now we're just fine-tuning. We just want to be fine-tuning at the varsity level. We don't want to be teaching varsity players how to make an in-and-out blow-by. And everywhere I go, I do the most simple skill work. In-and-out blow-by, in-and-out crossover. All right? And not a whole, and we teach slide hooks. We teach post moves for all the players. And at the varsity level, their skills are so sloppy. Right? We're not fine-tuning their skills at the varsity levels. It's like a lot of times I go and work with a team. It's like, I'm teaching these guys skills they've never done before. Right? They just put their head down and dribble. And that's what they do. Right? So that's why it's so important to develop those skills before we get them at the varsity level. So at the varsity level, we already hit the ground running. We're already on a sprint. And now we're just fine-tuning the details. Now we have the flexibility. Hey, we can run fast or we can run slow. We can run fast tonight, score earlier in our offense. Hey, this other night, immovable object, ultimate force, whatever. It's like, it's like now we can really get down to the nitty gritty and really get down to strategy, tactics, and execution. All right. And we're just fine tuning stuff. That's ultimately what we want to get to. Cursor here. All right. So at the youth level, and I'll pause it to see if that doesn't mess with our internet connection. Only so much bandwidth. At the youth level, first grade through fourth grade, I am inclined to primarily go 100% dribble drive. And the reasons for all of the reasons that we talked about. We know where they're going to be guarded. We know their individual weaknesses. We need them to work on their skill work in the offense because we want them to play as much as they're going to play. But it's like we only have so much time in practice to work on in and out blow-bys, in and out crossovers, finish off the left foot, finish off the right foot, right hand, left hand, finish off 2 feet. All of that skill work. All of that skill work that we teach strategically, and with all 5 of these sessions, we did skill work with every single group. Some of it was repetitive. Most of it, though, is I kind of advanced through it for the coaches at the clinic because this was a coach's clinic, not a player's clinic. But we want the offense, when they go play games where they're going to go have the most fun, we want them to be able to not only showcase the skills that they're working on in practice, to re-emphasize them. All right, so they can understand, hey, I got to have these moves. And I got to have room on the court to go make the move. And I'm not open, I'm going to throw it to the next guy. Now he's going to go make the moves, the same moves. And if he drives, I'm going to throw it to the next guy, and he's going to go make those same moves. All right, and we develop that first grade through fourth grade. Now, if you have a really advanced fourth grade and you want to progress further, like the next step that we're going to go to on the next page, you have to have the flexibility to do that. So relative to where the skills are at your level, you can make these adjustments. But first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, all right, a lot of this dribble drive motion. Now, if you got first graders and they've done dribble drive first grade, they've done it again second grade, they've done it again third grade, they're getting really good at it. All right, maybe you can progress at the fourth grade level. Maybe you can advance to what I'm going to give here as an example for fifth and sixth grade. Hey, let's teach them now a more traditional low post formation, because guess what? At the varsity level, if I'm developing a good program, dribble drive is great, but very predictable. And when you play those teams that are very well disciplined defensively, there's no passing and cutting in the dribble drive. All right, and players are more sophisticated, more experienced. They have all of that stuff, more spatial awareness. They understand. They're better coached at the varsity level. It's easier for teams to close those driving gaps. All right, especially if you don't shoot the ball well. All right, it's hard to run dribble drive at the high school level successfully. It's very easy to anticipate. It's very repetitive. And you're getting the same look over and over again. Some coaches can be very creative with it and create a lot of different mismatches, but I feel like the higher level you go with dribble drive, the more talented you have to be. I mean, talented. And talent is the hard part to find, right? The skill we can develop skill for anybody. Talent's hard to find, right? Okay, so some players are talented, can get in gaps that skilled players can't get to. Dribble drive's great. Okay. So then, and again, this is my philosophy, and there's a spectrum, there's overlap, it's a gradient, but that's my approach. But as we're progressing to fifth and sixth grade, we want to say, okay, now you guys have been running dribble drive for like 5 years now, fellas, ladies, right? Now we want to teach a little bit more advanced offensive concepts. So I'm going to teach you now a different formation. Now we're going to go 4-round 1, 5-man ball side. And we're going to bring you out of the corners, put you on the wing. So now we're manipulating the spacing on the court differently, whereas before we're spreading everyone out. Now we're going to now we're going to stay foul line extended and higher for the purposes of we want to take the defense away from the rim, right? Dribble drive, we want the defense on the three-point line, on the baseline, so we have room to drive up top, because that's the only skills the players have is drive, make a move, drive, right? But now, as players are getting better and defenders are getting better, and defenders are starting to shift off their man and more into a help side position, right, now we need to be able to learn how to score with a pass and cut or a dribble at cut. So now we're really kind of introducing cutting for the first time here. So we're going to put them in a low post formation. We're going to change the formation of the court to a two-guard front, everyone above foul line extended, 5-man at the low post, traditional 4-round 1. All right. Bring the defense above the foul line extended so that when we run what we're going to run with this group, we ran what we call 2-time into a chin drift is what we got to. But we throw the ball to the wing, we cut through, and then we're going to drive middle, and we're going to go backdoor, and we're going to teach them how to score off a pass and cut. Right? And offense aside, this is just another skill in the game, right? Where two players are working together, trying to score a different way because of what they see. Okay, coach put us in these spots to bring the defense away from the rim. Oh, now I'm going to dribble up back cut going to the rim where there's no defense. So now we have to learn how to score that way. So we teach them how to do that in our skill work as they progress to this level, and then we're going to reinforce that in the offense. Now, one of the most impactful statements to me about the Princeton offense that I've ever heard was the reason Princeton coaches do what they do is to take the tension out of the game. They want to remove the tension from the game. And I interpret that as I don't want to fight my opponent's strengths. So if they're going to deny me, great, dribble you backdoor. All right. I don't want to sit there and V cut and L cut and circle cut and get in here and push off to try to get open. I don't care about getting open. Hey, you're either open or you're not open. If you're open, we'll throw it to you. If you're not open, send you backdoor. Takes the next defender with you. We're going to get the next teammate open. The backdoor always gets the next teammate open. So we strategically, when it comes to Princeton, every cut is designed twofold. One, score selfishly. Two, get your teammate open unselfishly. And it removes the tension from the game. All right, that's what we're trying to do. So with this group, we introduced a low post formation, 2-guard front into a throw the ball to the wing, pass and cut, changes into a 1-guard front, 2 times, backdoor. If the first one's not open, we get the second one, which is why it's called 2-time. I'm not going over the X's and O's in this presentation. But the idea is we're now starting to teach them how to run Princeton concepts with no friction. So actually, I should show you this. So if we go low post, we throw it here. I'm going to say low. I'm not going to say, if I say low post, that means I want to throw it in the low post. I'm just going to say low. We pass and we cut. We teach them that. We teach them to stand now. Hey, now there's a little bit, the spots have changed a little bit. This is what we want to get to. But it's the passing. Are they open or not open with the pass? That's even more advanced, right? Remember, to this point, all they know is drive and kick, dribble, drive. Drive a gap, drive a gap, drive a gap. But now we're teaching them how to get the ball here in a more traditional offense, more advanced, more skilled, more advanced offense. And I'm going to teach them how to dribble 1 time. And this one's going to go backdoor. If they're open, we'll throw it. If they're not, balance the floor out. Right? And when I say 2 times, that means, hey, 2 things are happening. So two backdoors. I'm going to dribble this one. That one's going backdoor. And then this one, watch the guy in front of you. They tell you what to do. I can throw it. And basically what happens, that 2-time dribble takes the tension out of the game. I'm still driving like I've been doing the 3-4 years ahead of when I've been taught this. But now I've got other players are reacting immediately to my drive, backdoor, lift. All right, and I'm waiting for someone to be open, and I'm reading the defense behind the cut if I can throw it or not. All right, and we're getting more and more advanced with the offense, and we're teaching them now the building blocks to running Princeton. We're doing this at the 5th and 6th grade level. Now, the program that I just worked with, they are already teaching chin, because they have a 5th and 6th grade team who are pretty skilled. And Southern Indiana, if you guys have never been there, basketball is different in Indiana. And they have a really good 5th and 6th grade group. And that group, they are going to be very, very good. They play a lot of basketball. They do have a COVID group who struggles a little bit because they didn't play basketball in the 2nd and 3rd grade or 4th grade because there was like a 2-3 year gap where you couldn't play. So a lot of us have, for many different situations, a gap where kids struggle, and you got to be more fundamental with them, more dribble drive, more, something easier for them to work on their game. But you can flat out run straight up chin at this level if you got the players. If not, this would kind of be the progression I go through. So where I've got the grade levels, you guys can kind of modify that to what fits with your teams the most. Now, 5th and 6th grade, now we're going to go low post. Actually, this shouldn't say 2-time. It should say 1 time into chin. I'm sorry. This is 2. Oh, yeah, this is 2 times. So let me move on to the 3rd one. So the third one, let's go. Now we're progressing to the middle school level, 7th and 8th grade. Now we teach them that same low post formation, but now we're going to go one time, and I want to start teaching them chill. We want to remove some of the tension with that one-time back dribble or that one-time back cut, and then we're going to teach them to back dribble and get into straight up chin. And now we're running the chin series. Now they're running two pass reversal, come off the shuffle, come off the drift. Everyone's pretty familiar with chin. All right, but that pass, that two pass reversal and the hezi, and now I'm cutting off of a screen, and now I'm waiting on a second screen, that's more advanced. You have to think and understand and know what's going to happen 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of when I make that very first pass. And in this progression, this is the first time I'm introducing it to them. All right, and we're progressing from what we did with the group before. But now at this level, if we're coaching them this way every single year, it's going to be easier and easier to progress into the new thing. Now we're going to work on all of that action. All right. Again, now personnel dependent. You could also introduce point series here. You can be introducing 5 out here. If you're already running chin at the 5th and 6th grade level, you can start, if you have a group that's really good guard oriented, look at point series. All right. The 8th grade group that I was working with, we ran point series with them because they were a very skilled group. The JV group was more chin because they were not as skilled ball handlers. All right, they need more offense manufacturing. Where the middle school, the 8th grade group was very good with the basketball in their hands. So going to freshman JV, hey, let's go straight up 2-guard formation. Let's run chin plus multiple entries to get in the chin. Let's go straight up 1-time, 2-time, which is going to be easy because they did it in middle school. And then we're going to start introducing maybe some chin counters, strong side chin over, different. We can start to now put that in with our freshman JV. And then when we get to our varsity, 2-guard formation, chin series straight up, point series from a low entry, open 5 out to finish both into chin and point series. We can run point and chin, then phase into the open series and get back into. Now we're running the offense full circle. All right, and you just advance at level after level after level. There's a lot of coaches that have a philosophy whereas they do not want to run the same offense at the freshman JV level, especially JV level, as they do at the varsity level. Because varsity coaches just get a second scout on you. I understand that mentality. I'm almost certain Coach Collins is probably that way. Some of my mentors were that way. I personally felt we're running what we're running. You got to guard us. But from what we're doing freshman JV and varsity, we're just doing foundational stuff there. We're doing it really well, JV and freshman. Varsity, we're doing foundational stuff, but now we've got multiple ways to enter the offense. We have multiple counters. And if we go through one series and we don't score, we're getting into the next series, phasing it. And if we go run to that series, we don't get to it, we're phasing right in the next one. And there's going to be, the action is going to be faster. We're at that level, we maybe only going backdoor at the JV level, and at the varsity level, we're going to go handoff first, boom, then go backdoor. Because they've already been taught to go backdoor, so they already have that. They already have that in their bag. They already have that in their skill set. They already have that in their understanding of the game. All right, and that's our approach, taking all the way from youth through varsity, right? So I know you guys are like dialed in because I'm not seeing any comments. So hopefully a lot of this is getting through. So now I have a question. Would you guys like to actually see the clinic replays? And now let me see if my hard drives have warmed up. Let me see if I can actually go to the youth one. For some reason, these videos are not playing. And I wanted to show you some more clips of it, but they aren't playing. So if I'm looking at this, it's just going to freeze. But how would you actually like to see the replays of these clinics? We went 8.5 hours over 2 days. And all right, I'm just giving up on the video. But we have the replays available so you guys can actually watch these if you're interested. You guys, if you guys are, again, watching live, let me know in the chat. You guys want to see these replays? We were on the court for 8.5 hours with this program. We were in Lagodi, Indiana. And I walked in and Coach left a school 30 minutes down the road. They had a brand new bowl style gym. We actually had our Princeton Offense clinic there last fall. And I'm like, man, why would you leave that gym? It's like a $5 million gym. And why would you leave that to go to another school just 30 minutes down the road? And, it's where him and his wife started out teaching, and it was great. But then I walked into this gym and I saw this. I'm like, this is amazing. Look at this gym. Like, I would want to coach here too. And this is like old school. I almost guarantee 50 years ago when this gym was built, everyone sat on the concrete. Those bleachers probably weren't there. They just sat on the concrete. I was like, this is great. I love this. I love these old gyms. However, we spent 8.5 hours in this gym. We did 5 sessions. We worked with the 6th grade, the 7th grade, the 8th grade, the JV, freshman JV B team, a combination of those groups, and we worked out with the varsity guys for an hour and a half each, and then the varsity we worked out with for 2.5 hours. So we had these 5 sessions where we worked on, again, this was a training for our coaches primarily. So we did skill work in all 5 sessions, and then we did offensive reps in all 5 sessions. And when we had, we usually had about 8 players. In a couple situations, we had 10, 12 players where we could go 5-on-5, but we were running it 5-on-0, and then we were putting defense out there, whether it was 3 defenders, 4 defenders, 5 defenders, saying, guard them like this. What do you see? Go execute. Guard them like this. Go see. What do you execute? Okay, if I change things here, what do you see? And they were able to progress from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And each level, we got more and more and more advanced until we got to the varsity, which was the ultimate advance. So Vic's like, yeah, we'll see it. Coach Scott, you're awesome. So if you guys want these replays, this is what I'm doing. I want to give these replays to watch for an extended period of time, free, but I want to, but with a little caveat, I want to give them access to you today. But I've got a bigger event coming soon, and this is kind of the announcement, is we are running our 6th Princeton Offense Live coaching clinic. So if you've not seen one of my Princeton Offense Live coaching, this is my 3-day on-court immersive coaching clinic on the Princeton Offense. Most clinics are like smorgasbord-style clinics where you go and you see 8, 10, 12, 15 different coaches speak for 45, 50 minutes on 15 different topics, which is absolutely fantastic. But for coaches who know what they want to run and they want to go, instead of go horizontal, we want to go vertical and go deep. I put this clinic together for coaches who are just, hey, I'm all in on Princeton. I'm all in on running the Princeton offense at my high school level, at my middle school level. I want to progress and build an entire program. And we want to go all in. We want to go deep with it. And learning the Princeton offense is, it's not there's so much and I use this example. There's so much information today. It's hard to find the core place to go. When I was learning it 23 years ago for the first time, there was hardly any information out of it, but it was all great information. All right, and that's kind of the fight that we have. So we've had this. This will be the 6th clinic. So we've run clinics where varsity girls were the main team, were the main players demonstrating. We had clinics where the varsity boys were the main demonstrators in the clinic. We've had coaching clinics where we've used collegiate men for the 2-3-day clinic. And this year we're going back to San Antonio, Texas, where we had our first clinic. And we're going to have the varsity boys and varsity girls that are demonstrating. We're going to have a middle school there demonstrating. And we're trying to bring in another collegiate men or women's program for 1 or 2 sessions. But this is going to be a 3-day clinic. And I specifically, when Coach and I were talking, I like the 3-day format because I can do this for 12 hours and still not teach everything I want to teach. And not that when we're teaching this offense, everyone has to run everything that we teach. My philosophy is I want to know everything available to me so then I can go pick and choose what's best for my program. I think that's how you're most successful with Princeton. When I was a first-year head coach, I wanted to run my offense exactly like the Air Force Academy, and we did. Granted, most of it was in practice. What we got to in games, we did well with, but it's like we practiced like all of the, 100% of the offense, and we used 20% of it in a game. And I'm like, 40-year-old coach banging on the head of the 20-year-old coach that, no, do it this way. So, but you don't know what you don't know, right? So my philosophy with this clinic and the style of clinic is I want you to see everything, all right? And sometimes that can be overwhelming, but you're going to be able to pick out, I have these personnel. This is what's going to fit best with us. And I'm going to show you how to fit all the pieces. I'm going to show you all the pieces. I'm going to show you how to fit them together. And then I'm going to show you how to modify that. And then I'm going to show you how to adjust it from there. And I'm going to show you how to counter that when the defense starts to do funny things to you. Okay. And I need as much possible time. And in this clinic, we're trying to slate it for 16 hours over 3 days. Still working out those details, but it's going to be a big, long clinic. And there are going to be replays, 30-day replays with this clinic. And if you guys are interested, if you're watching live, watching this on a replay, go to PrincetonOffenseLive.com. You'll see this page pop up. Again, it's a 3-day on-court clinic, deep dive into the entire offense. And I'm not just going to teach you, and I think this is the difference between me and a lot of other coaches who are teaching Princeton. I'm not just going to teach you how to run it one way. I'm going to show you how to run it every way. Up-tempo, deliberate, in space, physical. All right, low post, chin, point, open. I'm going to modify all of those. All right, and then I'm going to show you all the counters, all the different entries, so you can stay unpredictable. You can be repetitive and still be unpredictable. You can be repetitive on purpose to be predictable. And then you train your players to, when you see them timing up your fastball, boom, now you go off speed. All right, and you take advantage of that. All right, but I want to show you every way to run it because I don't believe every team should run Princeton the same way. So I don't teach it in one systematic way. I teach you everything. And that's what I really love about this offense. I think it's the most flexible offense once you're aware of what to run and how to run. And now you're a program where if you're an underdog program, you can use this offense to leverage, or you can use this offense to leverage the skill or lack of skill of your players to manufacture scoring for them. All right. You can run this offense if you are an underdog program, where I personally believe your offense is probably, in today's game, the way the game's played, your offense is your better defense. If you are an underdog, less skilled, less talented, less experienced team, a better way to compete is to, it's the Bill Belichick, Peyton Manning example. All right, Bill Belichick's like, hey, if we don't let Peyton Manning on the field, he can't score, right? And it's that philosophy. And that's how Bill Belichick felt about Peyton Manning and the Colts. If you have the team that can run and that can play and that can score, all right, let's open it up a little bit. All right, and I want to show you all of that. So you can run the point series 30 different ways, not just one. You can run 30 different ways. You can get into it 10 different ways. Right? There's so much creativity with this offense, but we have to lay the foundation and then show you how to modify off of that. All right, we're slated to go 16 hours. PrincetonOffenseLive.com, and let me actually show you. I do have this. So if you actually go to Princeton Offense Live, here's a live version of it. I can close that. You actually scroll down, and it's got all the details about the clinic on here, when it is, where it is. We're going to be in San Antonio, Texas. I will give you the actual school and all of that once you sign up, or if you're curious, email me, coach@hoopsindetail.com. But all of the details of the clinic are on this page. I'm actually going to add some more stuff to this as we get closer and closer. It's only right now, as we're recording this live, it's $97 to attend this 3-day clinic. At the door prices is $197. All right, so it's basically $50 off, 50% off. Right now, it's one-time payment. Now, for that $97, you get to attend it live, in person, or virtually. All right, so you can travel if you're local. You can travel if you're not local. You can stream it live, and then I'm gonna give you 30 days replay access. All right, and all of that is right here. All right, on this page, you're gonna get 30 days live access, and you're going to get, from when you secure your ticket until it's going to be through the end of. I'm gonna give the whole month of October. Replay access of this clinic. So it's going to be 30 plus days, 30 plus a few days. But you're going to get the 16-hour full immersive clinic. And from now until the end of October, you're going to get access to the replays from this clinic. Boom, right there. You'll have the replays of this youth clinic all the way through October as well. So basically, you're getting 2 clinics for 50 price of the price of one, if that makes sense. So that is that's kind of what's going on. That's how you guys can get access to the replays of this clinic. I'll send you the practice plans for each session of this clinic. When you come and watch Princeton Offense Live, that clinic, I will give you all of the practice plans for each session to this clinic as well. And if you guys have any questions at any point in time, you guys can just send me an email, coach@hoopsindetail.com, and I'll let you guys know. But this $97 price, there's going to be a deadline on that. It's not going to be in 22 days. It's going to be like in like 7 to 14 days. And then the price is going to raise to $147. So at the time of watching this, make sure you guys check here what the price is when you get it. But right now it's $97 for the 3-day weekend clinic and replay access to this youth clinic all the way through the end of October 2025. So you guys have any questions? Let me know. You guys have any questions about anything that we talked about in the youth program in the chat? Hopefully I put anyone to sleep. Everyone seems pretty active. We still have a pretty big group who's watching us live. So Vic, do you have any questions? Scott, you have any questions? Any questions about what we do at the youth level? The dribble drive offense, how we progression that into Princeton? Anything with what you guys are working on right now? If you guys have any questions while we're live. If not, I tried really hard to keep it under 60 minutes. We went about 11 minutes past. Really appreciate you guys being live. If you're watching this on replay and you have questions, put them in the comments on the replay, and I will answer them, or send me an email if you have any questions, coach@hoopsindetail.com. All right, I hope this helped. Anything else? I'll let you guys, let everyone go. Coach, you still want an underdog t-shirt? I need a swag store. I need to do something like that where you can order them, print it off automatically, and send them. That's something I want to do. So talk to your school and bring me out, Scott. I'd love to do that. You like to see the practice plans that was off to the right? I have those. If you get access to the clinic, I will send all of those to you in full PDF format. So what we did at every single level, you'll see all the skill work we did, and you can actually watch. This is the cool thing about this clinic, and about the youth clinic, and about the on-court clinic that we're doing in Texas, is I'll give you the practice plan for what we're teaching in that session, and you can actually watch what we're doing on the court and look down at the practice plan and see, oh, they're doing this. Oh, they're progressing to this. Oh, they're progressing to this. Oh, I see how they're adding repetition stacking into this. See how they're layering and stacking skill work. Oh, now I see how they apply that to the offense. That's all in those practice plans. All of those come with, Dave, those come with access to this. And those you can keep forever. You can keep those. Once you download those are yours. Scott, you work on it? Awesome. And actually, Scott, so I have some slots. I'm going back to Indiana to work with another school probably in October. But I will travel out and still do installation camps. So if you guys want me to bring it just to work out with your team, like camp style, not clinic style, email me and let me know. All right. Okay. Thanks, Coach. Enjoy your Saturday. If you're watching this on replay crew, have any questions, let me know. Go to PrincetonOffenseLive.com. Get your ticket to this coaching clinic. This is going to be the biggest one I've ever done. This is the 6th one we've done, full on-court coaches clinic, 3-day event. I'm really excited. Have any questions, let me know. Coach, I'll see you guys on the court.